sutra to each and every diseases, isn't it? So that Chikitsa Sutra should be abided. If the person is taking any modern medications like antibiotics for particular diseases, because in acute condition, first and foremost thing is that we need to control the exacerbation of the particular symptoms. So for controlling the symptoms, you need to take the standard protocol, management protocol. Along with that, if you stick on to the ahara, that will help to additional benefit to recover yourself from the particular diseases in acute condition. And there are lots of acute conditions where ahara plays very important role. For example, like in Navajwara, we all know that in Nija Jwara, not Agantuja Jwara. In Navajwara, Ayurveda says that Ashtaguna Manda. So we know that what is Manda, how to prepare Manda. But there is a specific Manda explained in in Lagutraya, Ashtaguna Manda. So there they says that Ashtaguna Manda, if you consume, that will helps to relieve the any kind of jwara, whether it is any Sannipata jwara or whether it is any Ekadoshika jwara, everything can be controlled. And this study, I conducted this study under one of the student, she conducted under me in our institute, Ashtaguna Manda in acute jwara, I mean to say in Navajwara conditions. So without any medications, patients were recovered without any paracetamol. So here one recommendation is there from the WHO. If the temperature of the body is less than 101 degree centigrade, then there is no any requirement of the intake of any antibiotic. So they directly recommends that there is no any requirement of any medicine. So even same criteria we adopted in our clinical trial. So the person who are having the 101 or 102 degree centigrade, we never recommended the person to take any paracetamol. We just advised the Ashtaguna Manda on the basis of Matra. We decided on the basis of Agni. So within a couple of days, person is totally relieved from the all sort of fever conditions. So in acute conditions, we can use the ahara as a direct remedy. And even like for if the person is suffering from excess what we call atisara, if the person is in amaja atisara, you can advise the laja manda. So this will helps to even prevent the number of stools. Even it will helps to take out the dehydration like complaints. And if the person is having daurbalya, directly you can advise karjura adi manta on the basis of assessing the agni. So these will helps to combat the lots of acute conditions. And if the person is suffering with any chronic diseases, like if the person is victim of any grahini roga or grahini dosha, takra sevana, we all know that takra sevana is going to play very important role. Even if the person is suffering with any arsha roga, on the basis of which kind of arsha, so you can advise the different varieties of takra to prevent the complaints. And if the person is victim of amavata like conditions, so there are beautiful food modalities are explained. If you adopt, then that will help a lot in reducing the chronic conditions. In the same way, if the person is suffering with any non-communicable diseases like diabetes, we all know that being a yapya vyadhi, the person is supposed to take the medicines and food continuously. If he stick on to the appropriate food modality, then there is no any requirement of the any medicine. So appropriate food, like especially in madhumeha or in staulya or in prameha, they had explained the lots of food preparations. If you stick on to these things, then there is no any requirement of the any excessive intake of medicine. So on the basis of requirement, whether he is the sick or healthy, we need to see and we need to advise. And there are special circumstance, inevitable circumstance where the people will come across, like drastic change in the climatical conditions. So excessive temperature, excessive humidity, again it will adversely affect the body. So at that time, on the basis of climatical conditions, you need to apply all the rutucharya concepts, food rutucharya concept, or food principles which are explained in the rutucharya, that can be applied when there is a drastic changes in the climatical conditions. And even on the basis of occupation, again we need to switch on for the appropriate food. And if the person is suffering with any like hereditary diseases, if the parents are suffering with any hereditary diseases, again to prevent the particular person from these hereditary or or genetic factor genetic diseases, person need to take the appropriate food. For example, if there is a like complaints of diabetes in the family, if there is any complaints of hypothyroidism in the family, one or other way, the progeny belonging to particular family will be the will comes under the risk group. For them, initially, if they start adopting the healthy food, then obviously they can prevent the occurrence of these hereditary diseases. So on the basis of the condition, healthy, sick, or in inevitable circumstance, we need to see and we need to advise the particular ahara. So again, before we go in detail regarding the which kind of ahara we need to consume, so first certain concepts are there which is totally not present in the mind of Ayurveda practitioners, and most of the time these are some of the hurdles or obstacles which are preventing the Ayurveda person to practice or to prescribe the ahara in day-to-day practice. So what are the major obstacles? One is that understanding or concepts which are explained in the Ayurveda, because Ayurveda explains about hitara, ahitara, patya, apatya, satmya, asatmya, ashtahara, vidhi visheshayatana, dwadasha, ashana pravicharana, viruddhahara, satmyahara. Many concepts are there. Many concepts are there. Even after having such a huge concept, but we won't. Many Ayurveda peoples they don't prescribe food in the their prescriptions. Why? Because there is a lots of knowledge which is limited. So what exactly knowledge limited? What I want to say is that, see here, there are lots of references. For example, when we say that what we call in Rajasthan, there is a food item. I think if you visited any, if you visited Rajasthan, you might be heard about the food called as dal bati. So I hope you might be knowing this one. So dal bati, most of the time when we say about dal bati, is there any reference of dal bati in Ayurveda? So most of the time people will say there won't be any reference of dal bati in Ayurveda. No, it is there. It is there in the Lagutrayas. So exactly what I want to say is that, so we focus on only one Samhitas. South Indians, because I am a South Indian. When I was in Karnataka, even our teachers used to promote us to read much about the Ashtanga Hridaya and Ashtanga Sangraha. There was no any scope for the reading of Charaka or Shushruta. But when I came here in North India, people promoted me to read much about the Charaka, because Charaka explains everything. So because of this single-mindedness, we are losing lots of concepts which are explained in other samhitas. So what exactly I want to say is that you need to open your mind for every samhitas. Even you should read each and every samhitas, Brutraya, Lagutraya. Even you should refer the Nigantus, because in Nigantus there are lots of food preparations which are very much resemblance with the day-to-day food preparations. So most of the time we will end up saying that, so this reference is not available in the Ayurveda. So we don't know what exactly the quality of these food in the Ayurveda. For example, if I ask anyone, what is the guna of pizza and burger, or any modern food, suddenly for a while we think that there is no any reference of these things, and how we can claim the gunadharma of manda and gunadharma of pizza and burger, isn't it? Most of the time we think that. So Ayurveda, even especially Ashtanga Sangrahaka Hridayakara, he says that he says that iti de he says that there is a reference saying that iti dravya kriya yogo manadhyai sarvam adisha. He want to say that everything can be assessed, everything can be explained on the basis of dravya which are used, kriya, that is processing style which they adopted, on the basis of dravya what they used, which method of preparation they used, and what are the quantity of the ingredients they used. On this basis, every food product can be their characters can be explained. Iti dravya kriya manadhyai sarvam adishat. On the basis of dravya kriya preparation methodology, you can easily make out the what are the gunadharma of each and every food products. So if you come across the person who is taking pizza and burger, and what are the qualities of pizza and burger on the basis of ingredients what they used, you can easily make out, and you can explain. So here again I want to say is that you should open for each and every samhitas, and you should read each and every samhitas. Wherever you find any reference, you just know, make a note, and you start applying that one to the patient. So this is the one of the major impediment what we have, limitation, knowledge limitations what you have. Another is that when it comes to the advising the any kind of food, most of the time where we will end up with the preparation, how we need to prepare the food. So whether we need to prepare the roti, or whether we need to prepare any manda, peya, vilepi, we will focus much on the preparation. But Ayurveda not only focus on the preparation of the food, even it focus much on the how to collect the food, where to collect the food, Navadanya, Purana Danya, and even they says that which kind of fruits or vegetables you need to say. Ayurveda says that what are the qualities of unripened food, artificially ripened food, and even they says artificially matured vegetables, what will be the qualities, and naturally matured vegetables qualities are there. Everything they mentioned. What is the purpose of mentioning these things? Ultimately, they are guiding us. Even we need to focus on the type of food what we are consuming, from where we need to collect any collection, storage, and then preparation. So these part are also supposed to be focused, because we know that even when we advise to write any medicines or any food, we advise this kind of food should be taken. But Ayurveda says that when to write when to prescribe particular food on the basis of the need. Like for example, we need to see the what agni of the person. On the basis of agni, we need to decide the matra of the food. So agni assessment and matra of the particular ahara assessment should be done before you advise the any kind of food. So not only focus on the preparation of the food, even you need to focus on the collection of the food. If you advise the person to collect the Purana Danya, then that will be more beneficial rather than advising any food preparations. Purana Danya, if they come to know how to assess the Purana Danya and how to collect the Purana Danya, then obviously you can get the good result if you advise the Purana Danyas in Santarpana Janya Vyadhis. So, collection of the food, storage of the food, these methodologies are beautifully explained in Ayurveda Shastra. If you understand this concept, then easily you can advise the good food, and even you can get the good results. So focus on collection of the food products, storage of food products, and preparation of the food products. And along with that, even Ayurveda says that you need to prepare the person before you advise the any kind of food. What is preparation? Ayurveda says that bhojanagre sadapatyam lavanatraka bhakshanam. What they mentions, before you have the food, you need to prepare your body. That is, you need to ignite your agni. If your agni is proper, then only the food whatever you are consuming, that will give the good result. If your agni is not good, then obviously whatever you are going to take, that will be wasted. So first they say, Ayurveda says that you need to prepare the person. How you need to prepare? First you need to ignite the agni. So Ayurveda says that bhojanagre sadapatyam lavana and ardraka. Lavana and ardraka should be taken before food to ignite the agni. So this in even after consuming the food, bhojana paschat karma also explained in the Ayurveda. What is the purpose? When you are advising the nutritious food, then why you are going to think about the paschat karma? Because Ayurveda knows that even though if the person take the nutritious food, if it is not digested properly, same nutritious food may act as a poison. That is the reason Ayurveda explains bhuktvat shatapadam gacchayet. After having the food, person should indulge in the activities like 100-step walk, and he should sit like a raja, that is rajavat asit. So and Ayurveda also explains to consume the tambula sevana and achamana. These are the some of the bhojana paschat karma. So whenever it comes to the advising the any food, even we need to focus on the bhojana puro karma, bhojana pradhana karma, bhojana paschat karma. In pradhana karma, Ayurveda says that pratamam madhur rasa, madhyamo amla lavana, paschat kadu tikta kashaya. They mentioned this sequence, and this sequence has lots of scientific reasoning. So that is the reason we need to focus on collection of the food products, preservation of the food products, preparation of the food products, preparation of the body of the person, like bhojana purva karma, bhojana pradhana karma, bhojana paschat karma. When you incorporate these concepts, when it comes to the advising the ahara, then only you are going to get the good result about the from the ahara. And another very important part is restrictions, because when we advise, when any person will visit your clinic for the food recommendation, most of the time we will restrict the food. Ayurveda never explains about the restriction of the food. Even though in the context of chikitsa, any disease chikitsa, there is an explanation of apatya and patya. Whenever they said about the apatya, they never stated that you need to restrict all the things. Because what is patya? Patyam pato anapetam edduchoktam manasa priyam. What is that? Manasa priyam. So you need to make apatya, or you need to make certain sanskara in apatya ara, convert it in the form of patya and convert particular thing in the manasa priya. So if you convert all the apatya into patya by appropriate preparation methodologies, then apatya will become patya, and that can be advised. And another is that restrictions. What I was saying, that Ayurveda never recommend about the restrictions. They advise about the alterations, because restrictions can be advised if the person is hospitalized. If the person is staying in the hospital for few days, then you can advise the restrictions, because patient will be under your control. When he go back to your his house, so he will be influenced by the food habits of the family persons, then he will revert back to the normal diet. That is the reason restrictions, rather than advising the restrictions, you should go for the alteration. And restriction can be done gradually. Ayurveda says that padena patyam abhyastam pada padena tyajayet. So kramena, in padamshika krama, if you go for restriction, that may help the person to stick on to the particular patyahara. Directly if you restrict the thing, then it is not going to help you lot, because on one or other day the person will revert back to normal food. And Ayurveda says that apatyam apihi tektam shilitam patyameva. Apatya should be tekta, it should be always condemned, but that condemn process of condemn should not be all of a sudden. It should not be in the form of restriction, but it should be padamshika krama, and it should be by alteration methodology. If you alter like this, then sure he will accept. For example, if person is of diabetes, most of the time what we advise don't eat rice. So South Indians staple food is rice. If you advise not to take the food, not to take the rice, then for how long he is going to stick on to this one? One or other day he will fall back and he will say that kuch bhi ho jaye, I will stick on to the food because this is my staple food. So when the person is consuming particular food as a staple, then we are not supposed to advise them the restrictions. You advise some alterations, make them the person to take Purana Shali, or else Brushta Dautan. Ayurveda says that to make the Shali from Guru to Lagu, they mentions that Brushta, you need to fry it. Dauta, repeated cleaning, and Prasuta, and make the cook the particular rice in the open vessel and take out the manda. So if you prepare in such a way, same rice which is restricted by some other person, you can advise, but some alterations we need to do. So in the same way, rather than advising the restriction, you should advise the alteration. But whatever you are going to advise the alteration, somewhere you should have the references in the Ayurveda classics. Then that is well accepted. And if the suppose in North India, in especially wheat, here people are very much fond of eating the wheat. I mean to say, uh, rotis, especially made out of wheat. So here Goduma. So Goduma is again Guru, and it is a it is rich source of the carbohydrates. If you make the person not to eat the Goduma, then obviously how can they will resist themselves from having the Goduma or wheat flour? It's a staple food. So rather than advising the restrictions, you can advise some alteration in choosing the Goduma. Make them to choose the Purana Goduma, which is Lagu and which is having less amount of carbohydrates in that. In such a way, if you if you advise the restrictions, if you advise the alterations, that is well accepted by the patient rather than advising restrictions. So you are not supposed to restrict any kind of food. You make alterations, and and even one more example, like Ayurveda says that Karyavallaka is best in all sort of madhumeha. Do you feel that Karyavallaka, eating the Karyavallaka is very easy? No, because it is not at all palatable. But Ayurveda says that what is patya, it should be manasa priyam. So you need to prepare the Karavallaka, that is bitter gourd, in such a way that it should become manasa priya. If it becomes manasa priya, then only Karavallaka is recommended, or it is going to effective in the diabetes. If you advise Karavallaka directly without altering the taste, same Karavallaka even worsen the condition of diabetes. There are many studies saying that excessive intake of Karavallaka worsens the conditions like Prameha. Why it's happening? Because it's not mansa priya. So whenever you are preparing any kind of food, you need to alter them. So there is a book called as Bhojana Kutuhala. If you find any time, you just refer the Bhojana Kutuhala. He had given various varieties of tips how to alter the taste of the food. If it is Karevalleka, where there is a Kashaya Rasa dominant, to alter the Kashaya Rasa, what all the ingredients you need to add to take out the Kashaya Rasa and make it as a Manasa Priya. So in such a way, restrict rather than advising the restriction, if you switch on to the alteration, that is well accepted by the people. And another very important part is misconcepts. There are lots of misconcepts when it comes to the ahara, especially like tadi. Most of the people take the tadi or curd in the summer season. People they don't know exactly summer season whether we need to advise the curd or not, because curd is of Ushna Vira, it is not supposed to be consumed. These misconcepts are there in the mind of the people, mind of the general layman, and even it's in the minds of the Ayurveda practitioner. Preferably, when it comes to the intake of the dadi, when it comes to the intake of the madhu, most of the even Ayurveda people are advising madhu to be taken with the lemon juice. It should be taken with the hot water, lukewarm water, because Ayurveda directly advise not to take the madhu in Ushnam Ushnam, Rudu Ushne Yuktam, Cha Ushna Nirantidat. It should not be taken with any Ushna Ahara Dravyas. It should not be heated directly or indirectly. Even it should not be taken in the summer season. There are lots of recommendations. That misconcepts even there in the mind of Ayurveda graduates, even in the general public, that kind of misconcepts of Tadi Sevana, Madhu Sevana, and even Viruda Danya. Most of the time we says that Viruda Danya is totally condemned by the Ayurveda people, and they says that Ayurveda never recommends to take the sprouted grains. How we can say that one? Ayurveda never says like that. Ayurveda says that there are special conditions where these sprouted grains are not advised. There are lots of research work where they says that sprouted grains are essential to body. So this misconcepts is also there in the minds of the Ayurveda. We need to take out the madhu, virodadanya. So there are lots of such misconcepts that should be taken out. Then only you will be able to advise the appropriate ahara dravyas. And last but not the least is that vihara. So most of the time we won't focus on the vihara, because Ayurveda always says that nitya ita ahara vihara sevi samikshakari visheshu asaktara. That is, if you want to remain healthy, it is not only possible by the ahara. Even you need to focus much on the vihara. So you should not say that I am taking healthy food, I am taking a vegan diet, and I'm not, so I will be healthy. You are not supposed to say that, because Ayurveda always says that ahara and vihara should go hand in hand. Even though if you are consuming the good food, if you are not indulging in any hitakara viharas, then same healthy food may convert in the form of unhealthy food. That is the reason vihara is supposed to be taken parallel to the ahara. That is, in Bhagavad Gita, there is a beautiful saying that yukta ahara viharasya yukta chestasya karmasu yukta swapnava bodhasya yogo bhavatu dukkha. That is yukta ahara vihara. Everything should be taken with yukti. That is ahara and vihara should be yukti purvaka, and it should be parallel to the ahara. Ahara and vihara, when they go parallel, then only you are going to get the advantage of aharas. Otherwise, even though if you are consuming a healthy food, even though if you are preparing the food in a healthy way, same food may become the poison, or it may affect your body adversely. So when it comes to the advising the diet, uh, just a minute. Diet in So when it comes to the advising the diet according to the diseases, again we need to think very basic way. Very basic. See, there is no any like very what we. It's not a, like a rocket science to understand what which kind of diet should be advised to the which kind of disease. Very simple concepts Ayurveda explains, like how to decide a diet on the basis of diseases. First, we need to classify the disease In very simple way, Santarpanajanya Vyadhi, Apatarpanajanya Vyadhi. Ayurveda says that especially if you are not able to make out the particular disease on the basis of modern science or on the basis of Ayurveda science, you should not worry. Ayurveda says that like nasti rogaha vina dosha smasmat vichakshanam anuktam apich vyadinam uh, vyadilingai samachari. So what he want to say is that in every diseases there will be involvement of doshas. Nasti rogaha vina dosha. In the sense there is no any diseases which is divide of the dosha involvement. In every diseases dosha involvement is there. On the basis of dosha dominancy you need to assess the condition. If the person is suffering with the kafaja vyadhi, if there is any symptoms related to the kapha dosha, then you need to adopt such food or such medicines which will reduce the kapha dosha. So on the basis of doshas, because nowadays lots of diseases are there, like for example corona, when it comes to the communicable diseases or any other diseases like hyperthyroidism. Is there any specific diseases which directly correlates with the hyperthyroidism? No, we don't have. Hyperthyroidism we don't have. Most of the time many people have many different vision or different understanding. So you know you are not supposed to waste a lot of time in understanding or giving the particular name to the particular disease. Rather than just think about the which dosha is dominant at that time. And another is that we need to see the prakriti of the person and you need to see the vikruti of the person. So ultimately diseases, just you classify the disease whether it falls under the santarpanajanya vyadhi, whether it falls under the apatarpanajanya vyadhi. And as I stated, anukta vyadhi, if it is ukta vyadhi is that if the description of the particular disease is directly explained in the ayurveda, like amvata, vata rakta, vata vyadhi, so visarpa or kusta. If there is a direct references, need not to worry, because in direct references we will get lots of information about particular disease like nidana, purorupa, samprapti, even patya chikitsa sutra, everything we will get for the ukta vyadhi. Ukta is which is explained. Anukta vyadhi, if there is a anukta vyadhi, ayurveda says anukta vyadhi vyadhi linga samachare. On the basis of vyadhi linga, on the basis of symptoms, you need to assess the dosha dominancy, and according to that dosha dominancy, if you advise the food or a treatment, then you are going to get the result. So first you need to divide the disease into santarpanajanya vyadhi, apatarpanajanya vyadhi, and first again after division you need to see whether there is any reference ukta vyadhi, that is whether there is any reference in the ayurveda, if there is any reference of particular diseases, and just in that disease nidana you need to see if there is any specific ahara explained, then accordingly you need to plan the aharas. Nidana, if they explain particular ahara, then restrict those ahara dravyas, because Ayurveda says that nidana aushadha pathyani trini yatnani chintayet. So always physician should think these three parts: nidana, what is the nidana, what is the aushadha, and what is the patya. So in first, if there is any conditions like amavata, you need to see the nidana of amavata. They explain lots of aharaja nidanas. First, you need to avoid these aharaja nidanas, and you need to see whether it comes under any staple food category. If there is a staple food category, rather than avoiding, make some alterations. So nidana you need to see, and you need to see patya of the particular diseases, and accordingly you can prepare the diet chart. So santarpana, apatarpana classification, ukta vyadhi, anukta vyadhi, and on the basis of dosha pradurubhava, you need to see the sign and symptoms, and accordingly you need to advise the particular patyara. This is a very simple way of understanding, and even how very simpler to this one is that Ayurveda says that rogaha sarve api mandakno. So in every diseases there will be involvement of the agni. So first you need to assess the agni and try to rectify the agni with the medicine or some ahara dravyas, what we like manda, peya, we like. So these are preferably meant for the igniting the agni. If you focus much on the agni, that itself helps to conquer the diseases for 50%. So in such a way, roga sarve api mandagno concept you need to understand. You need to classify the disease as a santarpana and apatarpana, and you need to see whether there is a reference in Ayurveda or not. And if there is no any reference, on the basis of dosha involvement, on the basis of lakshana, you need to classify and you need to start advising the diet prescriptions. So when it comes to the advising the principles, again very important part what we need to know is that santarpana gunas and apatarpana gunas, because we know that especially sarvadravyam panchabhautikam, every dravya is made out of panchamahabhutas, we all know that. And in among the panchamahabhutas, prithvi and aap, these are the mahabhutas which are considered as the santarpaka gunas, isn't it? In the same way, Vayu and Akasha are considered as the Apatarpanaka gunas. So in each and every dravya, Sarva Dravyam Panchabhautikatvam. In even in Ahara Dravya, there will be involvement of, or there will be a presence of these Panchamahabhuta. First, we need to see which Panchamahabhuta is dominated in which Aharas. Whether if it is Prithvi Mahabhuta dominant or whether it is a Jala Mahabhuta dominant, then obviously they are considered as Santarpana gunas, which are preferably advised in Apatarpana Janya Vyadhi. In the same way, contrast to that, if any food article, if it is dominant with the Vayu Mahabhuta, Akasha Mahabhuta, then it indicates that particular Ahara Dravya is dominated with Apatarpana gunas, which are supposed to be advised in Santarpana Janya Vyadhis like Tvak Vikara, Kusta, Staulya, Madhumeha, Pandu. So these are some of the Santarpana Janya Vyadhis where you are not where you are supposed to advise the food which are dominated with the apatarpada gunas. And moreover, that very simple logic you need to understand. We all know that uh, uh, Guru Lagava gunas, especially Guruvadi gunas 20. So we know that in 20 gunas, 10 are Santarpana and 10 as Apatarpana. Why this classification is done? Ultimately, as I stated earlier, whenever you are recommending any food, food is supposed to be advised on the basis of rasa and on the basis of guna. So you need to see the rasa dominancy, you need to see the guna dominancy. So here in Guruvadi gunas, in 20 gunas, 10 gunas are Apatarpana and 10 gunas are Santarpana. So any food which is having the Apatarpaka gunas, then that are preferably advised for the Santarpana Janya Vyadhis. And contrast to that, any food which is having the Santarpana gunas, that are advised to the in Apatarpana Janya Vyadhis like Karsha or any Shosha like conditions. So here again, there are certain food products. For example, Guru, Kara, Katina, Manda, Stira, Vishada, Sandra, Ganda, Bahulanicha. What exactly you want to say is that among these Guruvadi gunas, there are certain gunas, preferably like Guru. Guru, that is which is heavy to digest. Guru, Kara guna, Guru, Kara, Katina, Manda, Stira, Vishada, Sandra, Ganda, Bahulani. Any food which is having these component, it indicates that particular food is Guru in nature, particular food is Santarpana in nature. In the same way, Drava, Snigdha, Shita, Drava, Snigdha, Shita, Manda, Pichla Guna. Any food having these qualities, if it is excessive of Drava Guna is more, if it is Pichla Guna is more, then Drava Guna, Pichla, Shita, then again it will comes under the category of Prithvi, Jala Mahabhuta dominancy, which will comes under the Santarpana Janya. So Santarpana Gunas. So in such a way, each and every food articles you need to assess on the basis of rasas, on the basis of guna, and on the basis of Mahabhutas. If you assess these things, then it will be very easy to advise which kind of food should be advised to the particular person. So first you need to classify in this such a way. For example, as I stated, pitch laguna. So in which food products we will get the pitch laguna, especially what we like that bindika, what we get, ladies finger, what we say, okra. So this is dominant in pitch laguna, and even there is one more in North India, there is availability of one of the tuber, what we call it as a, it is like one kind of tuber, arvi. Here they call it as arvi. So that is also rich source of rich in pichilaguna. So when any food which is having pichilaguna, it indicates that Jalamahabhuta Pradhana is there, then it will comes under the Santarpana. When it comes to the Drava like for example cucumber or any watermelon. So they are rich source of water. So again, Jalamahabhuta dominancy is there, then it will comes under Santarpana Janya. So in such a way, in such Santarpana Gunas, in such a way you need to calculate on the basis of Panchamahuta, on the basis of Rasa, and on the basis of Guna. Again, Rasa why I am stating is that Madhura, Ambla and Lavana, they are Santarpana, Katu, Tikta, Kashaya are Apatarpana. We all know that. So any food which is dominance of Madhur Rasa, Amla Rasa, Lavana Rasa, they always say that they are Santarpana in nature. So contrast to that Katu, Amla, Katu Tikta Kashaya, they are Apatarpana in nature. So according to the requirement, according to the Santurna Janyavadi, Apatarpana Janyavadi, we need to advise the food. And another very beautiful concept Ayurveda says that in which condition, in which person we need to assess these guru and laguta properties of the food. So when we need to think much about the guru laguta of the aharas, they says that these are the some of the persons. Whenever you are advising any kind of food to these category people, then you need to focus much on the guru guna lagu guna of the aharas. That is, he says Manda karma anala arogyam saukumaryam sukamochitam. The person who is sedentary in life. Manda karma is nothing but the sedentary in life. He who is having very less or who is not at all doing any sort of activities. So in such condition, Agni will be very less. So for them, we need to assess the Guru Lagota Guna of the each and every ahara. For them, Lagu aharas, which are aharas which will ignite the Agni, such kind of food should be advised. So, जो Guru Lagota characteristics of the aharas are supposed to be assessed whenever you are advising the food to these category of the food. Who are the one is that Manda Karma, the person who is doing very minimum activities, who is sedentary in life. Manda Karma Anala Arogyam, who is having Manda Anala. What is Anala? The person who is having less digestive capacity. For them, again, we need to assess the Guru Laguta of each and every food products. Manda Karma Anala Arogyam. The Arogyam is here disease. If the person is suffering with any kind of the disease, first you need to see the Agni. On the basis of Agni, you need to choose the appropriate food. Manda Karma Anala Arogyam Saukumaryam Sukamochitam. Saukumare. If the person is Sukumara, again, whenever you are advising any kind of the food, you need to see the Agni of the Sukumara Vyakti, because in Sukumara Vyakti, Agni is totally deteriorated or it is totally decreased. So first we need to see the Agni, and after seeing the Agni, you need to see the Guru Laguta of the Aharas, and accordingly you need to advise. Manda Karma Anala Arogyam Saukumaryam Sukamochitam. So and ultimately age, another very important factors, like we need to see the age, because Ayurveda also says that Vayo Aratri Bhuktanam Teyanta Madhyadika Kramat. So Agni also varies on the basis of age, on the basis of activity, on the basis of disease condition. Ultimately, Guru Laguta calculation will comes when there is a availability of these kind of the food. So in contrast to that one, there are few other people where there is no any requirement to see the Guru Lagota of the food. You can advise whatever you want, whatever you want to advise, you can advise in these people, especially healthy people, because in healthy people's Agni will be Sreshta. For them, whatever you advise, they can consume and they can digest. And Ayurveda says that these are the Ayogya persons where you are not supposed to think about the Guru Lagota. So Ayogya for considering the Guru Lagota are these things. And even in the context of Viruddhahara, we all know that they says that Vyayama Snigdho Deeptagni Vayasta Balashalina Satmyam Alpam Chahara Viruddham Na Badayati. So Viruddhahara, in which person Viruddhahara is not going to affect. So they had given certain characteristics of the person, like the person who is doing exercise regularly. For them, Viruddhara is not going to affect, because the person who is doing exercise regularly, his Agni will be Sreshta. So the person who is having the Agni in good status, for them need not to worry about the Guru Laguta of the Ahara. Randomly you can advise. Vyayama Snigdha Bhojana, the person who takes regularly Snigdha Bhojana, again his Agni will be Sreshta. Deepta Agni, the person who is having good Agni. And Vayasta, the person is in Yuva Avastha, Agni will be Sreshta. And the person who is Balwan, Balishalina, and those person for him particular food got addicted, साथ में हो चुका है. So for these people, there is no any requirement to assess the Guru Laguta of the food. If the person is sick, if the person is having deteriorated Agni, if the person is Sukumara, if the person is of Manda Karma, if the person is of Manda Anala, at that time you need to think about the Guru Laguta of the Ahara. Otherwise, you can randomly. If the person is healthy, if his digestive system is active, then you need not to think about the Guru Laguta of the Ahara. Directly you can advise. Another very important part, what we need to understand when it comes to the advising food, prescribing the food, is these three factors: respect to age, occupation, and disease. We need to see digestive capacity on the basis of age, occupation, disease, matra, matra of the like ahara matra. Again, you need to see on the basis of age, occupation, disease, time. Again, food consumption time. Again, on the basis of age, occupation, disease, you need to assess. On after assessing only, you need to advise the food. So again, Jatragni. So I am not going to take much about explaining the principles because major principles I elaborated how you need to choose. But even though there are certain very important principle we need to keep in your mind when it comes to the advising the ahara as a in the prescription. So we know that Ayurveda says that Agni is considered as the Oja and Teja. Ayur Varna Balam Stejam, Ayur Varna Balas Tejo, Ayur Varna Balam Swastham, Utsaha Upachaya Prabha, Ojos Tejo Agnyaya, Pranas Chokne, Dehagni Hetuka. That is Oja, Teja, Bala, Varna, everything is Agni. Everything depends upon Agni. And even modern science also says that a person's immunity depends upon the gut health. So ultimately, Ayurveda says that keeping your metabolism appropriate help to maintain your immunity. So Agni is all the things. It is a Varana, it is a Ayu, it is a Bala, it is a Oja. Everything is mainly because of Agni. So to maintain Agni, what all the things plays very important role? Ayurveda says that Balam Arogyam Ayusham Pranascha Agni Pratishtita. Prana is Agni Pratishtita, Anna Panair Indana. Anna and Pana act as a Indana for the Agni. So ultimately, whenever you are taking the food, so you need to see the Agni. According to Agni, you need to take the food. Even though if you are taking the highly nutritious food, but if they are not according to the Agni, same food will adversely affect your body. So and certain principles are there in Ayurveda which helps to maintain your Agni. One is that Agnihotra. Anna, especially Jatragni, is considered as the Agnihotra. Agnihotra, that is Homa Havana, how we do. So Ayurveda says that person should consume twice a day, isn't it? We need to advise twice a day. If you take excessive amount of food more than twice a day, then it is going to affect your body adversely. It will reduce your Agni. Ayurveda says that Pratah Sayam Manushanam Ashanam Sudhiboditam. Pratah and Sayankala are the appropriate time to consume the food. So twice a day, if the person take healthy food, then only it is going to affect the body. And matra, while explaining the matra, Ayurveda says that the matra should be that it should be get properly digested. That matra is supposed to be decided. Without seeing the Agni, you can't decide the matra. Ayurveda says that ahara matra punaragni balapekshani. Whenever you consume the food, first you need to see the Agni. On the basis of Agni, you need to decide the matra. What exactly matra? How you need to decide? Ayurveda says that anupahatyam prakurtim yata kalam jaram gachati. Any food matra, any food quantity which is not going to affect your prakriti, that is, which is not going to affect your digestion system. That particular amount is considered as the appropriate amount for the particular person. That is anupahatyam prakurtim yata kalam jaram gachati, right? Which will get digest within the stipulated time. Then that particular matra is appropriate to the particular person. So the person should even focus much on the twice a day meal, and it should be matravat and kalavat. As I stated, kalavat is that Ayurveda advised to take the food twice a day in the morning and evening. And in the morning they had given specific time. They says that pratham bhojanam sapada prahare, dvitiya bhojanam ardha chaturtha praharobri. First meal should be between 9:30 to 10:15 a.m. and second meal should be between the 7:30 to 8:15 p.m. So they had given appropriate time to consume the food. And even they said if you want to make the food to digest properly, food should have these qualities. Especially it should be ushna, that is should be freshly prepared. If it is freshly prepared, then only particular food is going to digest properly, metabolize properly, and it is going to assimilate properly. If it is shita, then again, even though if it is highly nutritious, it is not going to give the benefit. It should be ushnam. Ayurveda says that ushnamashniat, snigdhamashniat, matravatash snigdha. At least it should have some anakness. It should have some oily, or it should have some ghee. Because ghee or oily, again, it will indirectly help to maintain your agni. So whenever you are taking the anna, we need to see these part, matra, kala, and quality of the food to get the advantage of the ahara. And even when I already stated that anna and pana both are going to act as a indana. They are going to act as a fuel for the agni. Most of the time we focus much on ahara, but we won't focus on jala. Ayurveda again give more emphasis about the water. They says that when it comes to the matra, what should be the quantity of the water while taking the food. Ayurveda says that atyambupanam annam vipachtamannam nirambupanam saeva dosha. If you drink excessive water before the food or during the food, that excessive intake of water will affect your digestion power. So it should not be excess and it should not be very minimum. So Ayurveda says that Ati Ambupana vitiate the Agni, Alpa Ambupana also vitiate the Agni. That is the reason you need to take water little by little in between the meal to maintain the Agni. And even Kala, as I stated, Kala is that how much we need to, when to take the food, when to take the water while having the food is in between. You should not drink the water before the food, or you are not supposed to take the water after the food. But if the person is suffering with certain diseases like Santarpanajanya Vyadhi or Apatarpanajanya Vyadhi, so Ayurveda says that yeah, if the person want to reduce the body weight, then Ayurveda says that he need to take the water before the food. If the person if you advise the person to take the water before the food, that will helps to reduce the body weight, or that will reduce the conditions like Santarpanajanya Vyadhi. If the person is suffering with like skin diseases or Tvak Vikara, if the person is suffering with the Staulya, if the person is suffering with Prameha, for them you should advise before the food water intake. That will help to reduce the condition. If the person is suffering with the Karsha like conditions or Shosha like condition, advise the person to take the water after the meal. So according to the requirement, you need to advise the appropriate kala for the jala sevana. In the same way, even Ayurveda also says gives importance to the quality of the water. When to take the Ushnahara, when to take the Patita Shitala Jala, that is partially boiled and cooled water. Because Ayurveda says that when Ushna Jala is that like Deepanam, Pachanam, Kantem, Lagu Ushna Basti Shodhanam. Hitma Hatmana Anila Sleshma Sadyo Shuddho Navajvara Shwasa Kasa Pratishaya. So almost all in wherever there is a deposition of the Meda Dhatu, wherever there is a dominancy of the Kapha dosha, at that time you need to advise Ushna Jalapana. So whenever the person is suffering with Pitta Jala Vyadhis, there you need to advise the Patita Shitala, that is boiled and cooled water are supposed to be advised in the Pittaja Vyadhis. So according to the Kaphaja Vyadhi or Medaja Vyadhi, Ushna Jalapana, if the person is suffering with the Pittaja Vyadhi, Patita Shitala Jala, so jala is the part and parcel of the food. So we need to focus much on matra of the water, kala of the water intake, and even quality of the water intake to maintain your agni. Once if your agni is maintained, then you can get all the benefits of the food. And even Ayurveda also gives importance to the ambience where you are consuming the food. That is, Ayurveda says that Ishtadeshe Sarvopakaranam. So whenever you are consuming the food, even if you are taking the nutritious food, if it is not taken in the appropriate place, if it is not taken in the pleasant place, again that nutritious food will go wasted. That is the reason whenever you are consuming the food, it should be of Ishtadesha with all the ingredients, with all the vessels, all the instruments, that is Ishtadeshe Sarvopakaranam and Tanmana Bujjita, with your pleasure in your mind and body, you need to have the food. Then only you are going to get the advantage of the ahara. So in such a way, you need to focus, and even as I stated earlier, Bhojana Purva Karma, we need to focus, we need to advise lots of things to prepare the Agni to the Agni of the patient. Bhojana Purva Karma, Bhojana Paschat Karma, everything should be advised to get the advantage of all the ahara. And ahara matra is stated already that always we need to focus on the agni, and on the basis of agni itself we need to decide the matra. And even kukshor bhagat vayam bhojam. So Ayurveda says that you need to divide your tummy into 4 parts or 3 parts, and accordingly you need to fill the stomach cavity. 2 parts should be filled with the like what we call like solid food and one part to the liquid. So these are practically you can apply. You can ask that, sir, how it is possible to divide the abdomen? But it is there is no need to divide the abdomen in such a way. But if you practice the traditional intake of food, nowadays most of the people are started eating the food in standing, especially buffet system, where there will people stand and they will consume. And nowadays people are using the dining tables, but Ayurveda never recommends these things. If you go for dining table or standing like food intake, then there is a requirement of assessment of the abdomen or dividing of the stomach into three parts or four parts. But if you adopt to the classical method of intake, Ayurveda says that Sukamachai Samasine Samadehe Anna Tatpara. Whenever you are taking the food, you need to sit on the floor in the Padmasana or in Sukhasana. Then you need to place the plate in front of you in front on the floor. Then you need to have the food. So when you bend forward to take each and every bowl of the food, there will be a movement of your body from forward to backward. That will maintain the Trikukshi Bhaga concept. So if you go for dining table like food consumption or buffet like food consumption, then there is you need to focus on these Kukshi Bhagas. Otherwise, classical method of food consumption by its own, it will understand the Kukshi Bhagas. And even there is a saying that Guru Nam Ardha Savityam Lagu Nam Nati Suktata. Guru Ahara, if it is taken very light, very less in quantity, they explain that Guru Ahara should be taken Ardha Savitya. But Lagu, if it is taken excess, Savitya, more than your capacity, more than your need, same Lagu Ahara may convert in the form of Guru. So even though if you are advising the Guru Ahara to the particular person, Staulya person, if you are advising Guru Ahara, but if he is taking excessive amount, same Guru Ahara will act as a Lagu Ahara will act as a Guru, and there is no any reduction of the body weight. So whenever you are advising any food on the basis of Guru and on the basis of Lagu, even we need to think about the Matra, because the Ayurveda says that Lagu Ahara taken excessively act as a Guru. So even though they are taking excessive amount of cucumber, even though if they are taking excessive amount of watermelon, which is having lagu properties, even though if it is lagu, but excessive amount will lead convert that particular food into guru. So that is the reason even we need to have the concept of these things. And Bhojana Kala I already stated, for healthy individuals or even for the sick person, even we need to advise the person to take twice a day meal. Ayurveda says that Arogyam Ekabhuktena Balyam Vrusham Divyojana. Vikala Bhojana will helps to maintain the Bala and Vrushyata of the person. And Ayurveda for healthy individuals, they mention that Sayam Prataham Manushanam. Sayankala Bhojana and Pratah Bhojana is advised. So twice a day meal is appropriately advised to the person. Suppose if the person is addicted to the thrice a day, Trikala Bhojana, Ayurveda says that at least there should be a gap of 6 hours from one meal to another meal. So then only the consumed food will be properly digested and assimilated. So they says that Yama Madhye na bhuktavyam Yama Yugme na langayet. Yama Madhye Rasotpatti Yama Yugme Balakshay. So ultimately, there should be a gap of 6 hours from one meal to another meal. If it is there, then the person can have thrice a day meal. But appropriate to maintain the body appropriately and recommended is that twice a day, that is Pratha and Sayankala. So